Imagine this. The lights go out, cars stall, and the grid buckles without a single bomb crater. That's the power of an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. What exactly is an EMP? It's a short burst of electromagnetic energy. Think of it like a lightning strike on steroids. Fast, broad, and able to couple into wires and electronics. There are two big categories, natural and man-made. Natural EMP comes from the sun. Solar storms that can push huge currents into long conductors like power lines. That's a space weather problem. Man-made EMP comes in two flavors, nuclear and non-nuclear. Nuclear is the high-altitude kind most people have heard about. Non-nuclear uses high-power microwaves or other pulse generators to disrupt electronics locally. When people say the big one, they usually mean a high-altitude nuclear EMP, or HEMP. Detonate a nuclear device hundreds of kilometers above the Earth, and the pulse spreads over a continent-scale footprint. Engineers divide a nuclear EMP into three components. E1 is the ultra-fast spike, nanoseconds, that can upset or damage unprotected microelectronics. E2 looks a bit like lightning, milliseconds, and most systems that handle lightning can handle E2. E3 is slow and powerful, seconds to minutes, more like a geomagnetic storm inducing large currents in long lines and transformers. Short version, E1 threatens chips and control systems. E3 threatens the bulk power system. That's why the grid matters so much in EMP discussions. Let's anchor this in history. In 1962, the United States conducted a high-altitude test called Starfish Prime over the Pacific. Streetlights failed in Hawaii, roughly 900 miles away. Some communications were disrupted, and it proved that a detonation in space can cause effects far from ground zero. That same year, the Soviet Union performed high-altitude tests over Kazakhstan. Those pulses damaged power and telecom equipment on the ground. Different test geometry, different infrastructure. But the takeaway was the same. High-altitude bursts can create wide-area electrical effects. Natural events have history too. The 1859 Carrington event, our benchmark solar storm, set telegraph lines on fire and shocked operators. Telegraph systems back then acted like today's long power lines. If a similar storm hit now, satellites and grid components would be at risk. How could an EMP be weaponized? At a high level, three ways. First, a nuclear device detonated at high altitude. No blast or fallout on the ground, but a continent-scale pulse. Any state that can loft a nuclear warhead on a medium or long-range missile could, in principle, attempt it. It would be treated as nuclear use. Second, non-nuclear high-power microwave weapons. These are localized line-of-sight systems designed to disrupt electronics over ranges from rooms to perhaps portions of a facility. They're military niche tools for disabling sensors, communications, or vehicles, not civilization-ending devices. Third, the slow burn version, space weather. A severe geomagnetic storm isn't a weapon, but it can produce E3-like effects that stress long transmission lines and big transformers. It's why grid hardening and space weather forecasting matter. Let's clear up some myths. Myth 1, an EMP fries every car instantly. Reality. Modern vehicles have mixed outcomes in tests. Some may stall and restart, some keep running, a few may fail. The grid and long conductors are the bigger systemic risk. Myth 2, everything with a chip dies. Reality. Vulnerability depends on pulse intensity, frequency content, coupling path, and shielding. Small, unconnected devices often fare better than gear tied to long cables. Myth 3, there's no defense. Reality. There are standards, hardening techniques, surge protection, shielding, grounding practices, and operational procedures that meaningfully reduce risk, especially for critical infrastructure. Who could use a nuclear EMP today? Only states with both nuclear weapons and delivery systems. That list includes Russia and China. It likely includes North Korea, given its missile and nuclear tests. Using a nuclear EMP would be an act of war with strategic consequences, so deterrence and second strike risks loom large. That's a big reason analysts judge the probability as low, outside of a major conflict. What about Iran? As of public reporting through 2024, it's not a declared nuclear weapons state. Non-nuclear microwave systems exist around the world. But those are localized, tactical tools, not continental threats. Could a non-state group build a doomsday EMP? Not realistically at citywide scale. The physics, energy, and altitude requirements for a wide-area nuclear EMP are nation-state capabilities. Small, localized RF disruptors exist, but they look more like jammers or lab curiosities than civilization enders. So what actually fails first in an EMP scenario? The most exposed pieces are long, conductive networks, high-voltage transmission lines, large transformers, and unshielded control runs. If substations trip, generators disconnect, and restoration becomes complex, you get a grid problem that cascades into communications, fuel distribution, and water systems. What's being done? Utilities and defense agencies study EMP and geomagnetic disturbance, add surge protection and blocking devices, stock critical spares, plan black start sequences, and improve space weather forecasting. It's not perfect, but it's not zero. For now, let me know in the comments, how do you prepare your family? In the next video, I'll talk about EMP preparedness. Subscribe and join the growing community. Thanks for watching.